Hello and welcome to this week's tutorial. We will talk about lighting, how to improve your lighting, especially if you are a beginner. This will be pretty useful, I think. I learned this in a Domestika course. If you want to learn how to do something similar, like the thing you see on screen right now, that's my result of the course basically. It's linked in the description below. It's really cheap if you catch the sale. It's like 10 bucks or something. And you'll learn a lot of technique, and it's really, it's a pretty cool course. I can recommend it. Okay, so here's my setup. I have a backdrop, I have my Suzanne monkey, and in my world properties, I have a sky texture, okay? If you don't know, just go world properties, color, and then just select sky texture. Okay, here's the problem. You can see this is my lighting right now. It's really flat. It's boring, it's really bright, and there's no contrast really, no guiding lines. It's terrible, right? It's also like the light is like, it's like high noon, right? Like the light is coming just from above, and it's really flat. Okay, we will fix this with the technique I show you today. So the main idea behind this technique is called light blockers. Okay, that's the term I learned. I don't know if it's official. I think it makes sense. So, so what are light blockers? Light blockers are basically obstacles in your scene that introduce shadows and therefore contrast, right? For example, this plane that you can then control, right? For example, let's say I want to fix the guiding lines problem in my scene, right? I will then place the plane in a way that is like introducing some, some contrast, but also some like guiding lines. So maybe like this, for example, Okay, that's great. So that's the first takeaway. You can place obstacles in your scene. They cast shadows, and therefore you can control the obstacles, and you can control the shadows in your scene, right? That's helpful already. But here's a problem. If you, for example, if I want to have a shadow like this, right? I can't do this because like you will see the plane in the render. It doesn't work, right? If I do this, for example, it doesn't work either because now the plane is like blocking my monkey. So I can't do stuff like this. To fix this, you want to select your plane or your obstacle, whatever it is, and you want to move it in a new collection. So select the obstacle, hit M, hit M, and make a new collection and call it light blockers. And now you want to go to the top right corner and you want to check indirect only. All right. And now you will see, you will have a new icon beside your collections. Okay. And if I check this icon for my light blockers, magic happens because now I have the shadow that is casted by my plane, but the plane itself, it's not visible anymore, which is great because now I can shape my shadows in any like form I want without having to worry about the visibility problem of the plane, right? And that's it really. That's the main takeaway. So whatever you use as a light blocker, just place it in your light blocker collection, so it's not visible, but the shadows are. Okay. And now you really want to just, play around with your obstacles and create some interesting lighting. So I will just, do some really basic stuff, like maybe like this, maybe you can like scale it up, and maybe you can also like if I click this plane and I go to edit mode, I can click a vertex, and if you hit G twice, you can slide it around. And that's a way to control your shadow as well. So now like I have this light arc coming down, but maybe I want the light to be small here, but there's no width at the end basically. So I take this vertex and I move it, right? Like this. And then maybe I can like bring in this plane in general. So I move it here. And then I take this stuff again and move it. Maybe like this. And I will do the same thing on the other side. So you can tell, I mean, right now it's not great, but like that's a good starting point for a decent lighting setup, right? So maybe, for example, maybe I want to have some smooth shadows at the end, right? So what I will do, I will just add in a new plane, make sure it's in the light blocker collection. I will scale it up and bring it up so the shadow is a little bit smoother in my case, like in the case of this setup. Okay, that's maybe too much. Maybe bring it back. Okay, so yeah, I mean you just have to play around with your obstacles till you have something that works. I don't know, maybe something like this, and then you just duplicate this and you move it here. So you have some shadows here as well, you know. Something like this, for example. And then if you want to introduce some more contrast on your object, you can also just duplicate the plane again and go, you know, you can scale it down, focus on your object and bring it really like close to your main object and just introduce some shadows on your object. But you have to be careful, because if you do something like this, make sure that you you will see the plane on the ground, right? So you have to make sure that it looks correct, right, to your, like according to your scene. So maybe I have to make this like a round object, so the shadow is not as blocky, right? But you can see this helps to introduce some shadows on my monkey, and that's, for example, that's a way how I could really play around with the contrast on my object and really introduce some shadows and really to improve the form of my object, right? Okay. I mean, like, obviously this is not great. I will improve this now and I will show you the end result. Yeah, but that's it really. That's the whole technique, right? I think it's really fun. It's a really cool way, I think, to create some interesting shadows in your scene. It makes a lot of sense. You know, sometimes when you do lighting, you don't really understand why stuff is happening, especially if you are new to Blender. And I think this is really, you know, it makes a lot of sense, I think. Okay, so I'm done with my lighting. So yeah, you can really create some interesting lighting with this technique. So I basically just, you know, I added some, I think one more plane to the top. Also, I blocked out the left and the right of my backdrop, so there's like less light in here basically, so the contrast is higher basically. And I also played around with this like gradient fall off and with the width of the light arc. Okay. And I think one last thing I did was in the color management and the render properties, I changed the look to very high contrast, so I have more contrast. So yeah, that's the final result for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. You know the drill. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I see you guys next week.